Yo. Welcome into the ChrisBeCappinn show. Today is March the 22nd. There are, I think it's just 5 games on the board for today. It's a pretty light slate, especially when you think about when you start subtracting the tanking teams, because I'm not really looking into those games too much. So let's jump into it, man. Let's jump into it. I think yesterday on the show, 2-2 break. 2-2 break on the show yesterday. San Antonio team total over, which I didn't play it because Wemby ended up getting downgraded, but they ended up scoring against the Pacers, and the other winner was Luka under his 8.5 assists. Shout out to my Lakers for getting a dub last night. And then the losers were I don't know. It was New Orleans plus the 4.5. I think a 5 was still available. They lost the game by 5, and then it's another play on the list, but regardless, let's just jump into it for today. So we start with Jackson, AI Sports Betting Tool. Yesterday, I think I gave you guys 2 plays that Jackson liked, and they were, let me see if I can find them really quickly. They were, I did not. Toronto, Denver, we didn't talk about that game. Oh, Cleveland minus the 4.5, so Jackson would have been right on that one. And OKC minus the 20.5, and they win the game by 21. So the final spread was 21.5. So 2-0 day for Jackson yesterday. That half a point that made all the difference in the world, though. So 2-0 day for Jackson yesterday. I ran back the same prompt for today, which was based on the last 10 game, advanced stats per cleaning the glass, situational spots, injury reports, and trends. What are the top 2 spreads that are incorrectly priced in the NBA market for today? Jackson likes the New York Knicks minus the 19.5. Don't feel like I need to read this whole breakdown against the Washington Wizards, but it says that this is a matchup between the number 5 team in net rating, 6.5, and the 30th team, 11.2. New York features a top 3 offensive rating at 118.2 and a top 5 defensive rating at 111.7. Washington, meanwhile, is dead last in defensive rating, 120.7, and 28th in offensive rating. The Knicks' ability to dominate the glass, 6th in offensive rebounds against the Wizards team that ranks 30th in point differential, minus 11.8, suggests a blowout that exceeds even this inflated line. So that's the first one. And it also, notes that Josh Hart is questionable. Some other things as well, but it says that the gap still isn't big enough. The next one is on the Minnesota Timberwolves and Boston Celtics. Jackson likes the Celtics minus the 9.5 in this game. It says that the market has set the line 9.5, but the advanced metrics suggest Boston should be favored by double digits. Boston ranks 2nd in offensive rating at plus 8.0 and 2nd in turnover percentage at 12.6, meaning they rarely beat themselves. While Minnesota is a top 10 team statistically, they struggle with ball security, 17th, and play at a much faster pace, 9th than Boston. In a game where Boston controls the tempo and forces Minnesota into a half-court execution, the Celtics' superior efficiency, 2nd in points per possession, should lead to a comfortable cover. The headline in this game is the absence of Minnesota primary scoring engine, which is Anthony Edwards. It says the Timberwolves are confirmed to be without Anthony Edwards and key reserve Naz Reid, who Naz Reid is listed as questionable, so that's not correct quite yet. Losing Edwards' gravity and 26-plus points per game is an immeasurable blow to the offense that already ranks middle of the pack in efficiency. While Minnesota still has Dante DiVincenzo and Kyle Anderson, they lack the high-end shot making required to break down Boston's 4th-ranked defense. So those are the 2 looks for today. Again, description has the link if you guys are interested in checking it out. And if you have checked Jackson out, let me know in the comments. I'm curious to know what prompts you guys like. Are you using it for player props? Because I used it for player props today as well, just to kind of see if I could find some edges. Actually, the same exact prompt. I just asked for player props with that prompt. So check it out. Link is in the description. Let's jump into the couple games that we're going to talk about today. So first up, we will talk about this Portland and Denver game. Looks like the line is about 8.5. I do see a 9 on Fanatics. FanDuel got a 9 as well. So money is coming in on the Denver Nuggets in this spot. I think a big part of that is the injury report. So we look at the injury report, and I know that Jeremy Grant is listed as questionable. There's no Shaden Sharp. And then Peyton Watson, of course, is supposed to make his return for this Denver Nuggets team. So no Jeremy Grant. And I think that this team is going to really struggle to score the basketball. I mean, we got to remember that, not Scoot Henderson, but Shaden Sharp is also out. Portland's not the greatest offensive team. This is the last game of a 5-game road trip. They have won 3 straight, though. Got a big win against the Minnesota Timberwolves in that last game on the road, and it's the first leg of a back-to-back. They got Brooklyn at home tomorrow. So for Denver, second straight home game, they needed a big fourth quarter comeback to beat Toronto in that last game. I think they were down by like 6 or 7, and they end up winning the game by like 6 or 7. They play in Phoenix on Tuesday. So they get Monday off, but in Phoenix on Tuesday. If we look at this game from a head-to-head perspective, Portland has they typically play Denver pretty well, but they got smoked in the last game. I don't know if you guys remember that one. They were getting 1 point as a home dog. Denver had lost the game the night before, and Portland was playing some really good basketball at the time. But Portland lost that game 157 to 103. And it was a pretty decisive win for Denver, to say the least, on the second leg of a back-to-back. But in the totals in the last 10 head-to-head meetings are 8-2 to the over. So kind of makes you think like this game should go over. And I know I come on here and talk about unders all the time. I kind of think that this one goes under, man. I know Portland, that game was in Portland, where Portland's offense has been a little bit more potent. Offensive numbers for Portland has not been great recently. They have played against a pretty easy strength of schedule. But this is just like, I like under in this one. It was at 241.5. I think FanDuel still has it at 241.5. It's really kind of predicated on the Nuggets being 8-0 to the under in their last 8 games when they're home favorite. And they are not playing on the second leg of back-to-backs. Those games only average about 224. Portland is an under team on the road in general, 21-6 to the under this season for as far as full numbers go. Those games only average 228. If they're a road dog, they're 14-6 to the under. Those games average 223. And they're second in defensive rating in their last 5 games, albeit against the 6 easiest strength of schedule. Denver's also 5-1 to the under as a home favorite when the game total is above 240. So I think that there's some ways for this game to go under, especially if Jeremy Grant doesn't play. Denver's defense has been I think a little bit better since Aaron Gordon has returned. Of course, he missed that Memphis game and they couldn't get a stop on the defensive end. But in the games that he's played, I think that they can slow this Portland offense down. I kind of like Portland team total under as well, 115.5. I think if you can kind of lock in on Denny Avdia, who has played pretty well historically against Denver, but outside of him, I just don't see a lot of consistent offense on the Portland side of things. So under 241 would be my recommendation in that game. All right, so next up is Minnesota and Boston. So Naz Reid is on the report listed as questionable. Of course, Anthony Edwards will not be in there either. And then Jaylen Brown is probable, and no Vucevic on the Boston side of things. So Minnesota, continue to play without Anthony Edwards. They haven't been great on the road, just 14-20 against the number, but typically they're laying points. They lost to Portland by 1. They lost to Portland as a 1-point favorite in that last game 2 nights ago. They got a big game against Houston coming up, but that's not until Wednesday. They have been struggling to score the basketball outside of the Minnesota, the Utah game that I took the team total under on, that I took the full game under on. They've been struggling to score. And that's what we saw in that last game against Portland as well. They're actually 7-3 to the under in the last 10 games. We look at the Celtics, kind of like tit for tat, I guess. Like they're 17-17 ATS at home. They are coming off 4 straight wins, but only 1 cover in their last 4 games. So you can kind of say maybe that's integrating Tatum. You could kind of say maybe that's them kind of just, I guess, like potentially not kind of saving themselves a little bit. I kind of think so. If you look at the full season, right? Like if we look at the big picture, teams have like 10 to 12 games. I think most teams have 12 games left. So I do expect some of these teams to not go as hard in some of these spots, right? So like Boston was just in Memphis, and I think they could have beat Memphis by 20, 25 points if they really wanted to, but they didn't care as much about winning that game by margin. So that's what kind of holds me up with Boston. I talked about this religiously on the show, but if it's one place that you don't necessarily want to back Boston, it is as a home favorite. They haven't been great in this spot. I think the last time they were playing, it was against Golden State, and they did cover that spread, but as a home favorite this season, they are just 14-15 against the numbers. So this is the one spot Boston hasn't necessarily been good, 48.3%. They are 21-13 to the under, though, and I think that could potentially be the way to get paid in this game. If you just worry about Minnesota potentially getting hot from the 3-point line, I don't think that they will, though. Minnesota did win the earlier matchup, 119-115, as a 5.5-point home favorite, and the game did go over the total. But I think that's the only way that this one could, not go over the total. I think Boston will dictate pace, which means that the total is set probably right where it should be. Ultimately, I think Boston first half is the best play in this game. So real quick, I want to show you guys a couple things I was looking at when I was handicapping this one. So we'll stay on the side in the total first, and I'm gonna go over just really quickly to the Money Baller. So link is in the description if you guys are interested in checking this out as well. Great resource and handicapping tool. So this is the game between the Timberwolves and the Celtics today. You guys can see it. 4th and 6 for the Timberwolves as well. There's an under total recommendation here as well, injury report, all that good stuff. If we look at the full season and we look at the Celtics, we know that they're one of the best ATS teams in the first half, 17, 11, and 1. I got it highlighted. The Timberwolves are also good, right? 7 and 3 against the spread as a dog. But of course, there's no Anthony Edwards, right? So if we look at, let's just go here, go to last 10. So these will, have most of the Tatum games. We can see that Boston hasn't been as great, just 2 and 3 against the number. But the Timberwolves, as a road dog, 1 and 1 in the first half, 0 and 2 in the full game. Maybe the Timberwolves get smoked in this game. I kind of think, so we come down here, we look at the last 10 games as well. We can see that both teams' strength of schedule has been about the same, 11 to 15. Adjusted offensive rating, Timberwolves 117, Celtics 119. Adjusted defensive rating, Timberwolves hasn't been playing much defense, 118, and the Celtics 112. So they are 5th here. Timberwolves playing a little bit faster as of late. You can see the adjusted pace is 15, whereas on the full season, they've been a much slower paced team than that. And then the Celtics, also we know that they play the slowest pace in the NBA, if not the second slowest pace in the NBA. This is just the last 10 games. So when I put all this together, it kind of makes me think that the Celtics should be able to score the basketball. The thing that's holding me up is that if Naz Reid doesn't play, I don't think the Celtics will need to play as much offense. They'll just be able to play really good defense. Naz Reid won't be out there to stretch the floor, and I think that they'll struggle. Regardless of all of that, though, if I had to make one play right now, I think it would be on Boston first half. I do think that they can come out and win this first half. I think it's 5.5 is the number, and I think that's what I would be playing in this one. Another thing I wanted to show you guys really quickly is from a player prop perspective, looking at Julius Randle and looking at Rudy Gobert. So first off, Julius Randle, I like Julius Randle assists in this game, under. So 4.5 is the number. You can see that he's been struggling recently, only over in 2 of his last 5 games. 2 of his last 10 games. If we look at the full season, this is always where I start. You see he's averaging right at 3.6. We look at the full season, he's averaging right at 5. So we go here, we filter games without Anthony Edwards, who most likely, already is out. You can see he's right at 5.4. But if you come down here and you start looking at, some of these opponents, like this was a game against the Jazz. I'm throwing that one out, right? This was a game against the Bucks. You can throw that one out. These are terrible defensive teams, right? Golden State here, you get 8. Brooklyn, another terrible team. And then the Lakers, when the Lakers weren't playing as much defense. This was actually the first game of the season. So we know that the Boston Celtics give up the 5th fewest assists. I think Julius Randle, I think he'll try to score the basketball today. I think they'll make him a scorer, and he will not be much of a facilitator. I like Julius Randle under his 4.5 assists. Now, staying in the same game, we go here, we click on Gobert, we type in Gobert's name, and Rudy's just in. I think he has one of the worst matchups on the board today in the NBA. Down there dealing with Kata, the Celtics will, they won't give up anything in the paint. So I think Rudy Gobert, we look here, I like his points plus rebounds under the 22.5. So you can see that he's averaging right at 22.46, 51% over this season, over in looks like 3 straight games. But he just gets a terrible, terrible matchup. You can see points allowed. The Celtics team is number 1, rebounds allowed, they're number 6, and they just don't give up a lot of stuff to centers, and they don't give up a lot of stuff in the paint in general. So I think that, and let's just look at this without Anthony Edwards. So he's actually been crushing it without Anthony Edwards, 26.8. I just think it's a terrible matchup for Rudy Gobert in this spot. But I do want to wait on the status of Naz Reid, because this could potentially go up without Naz Reid. The Celtics not a team that's going to give up a lot of stuff. The first time that these two teams played, he was listed at 21.5, and he finished with 20. Last season, he had a 13 rebound and assist game as well. And again, this Celtics team, Their last 15 games, they're third in rebounds allowed. They give up the fewest points in the restricted area this season. And yeah, they're not gonna give up a bunch to Rudy Gobert, his scoring type. So I like Rudy Gobert under. Just waiting on the status of Naz Reid because I think we could potentially get a bump in that line if Naz Reid does play. So those are my thoughts on that game. Actually, the one that I kind of like the most as far as all of the plays. All right. Last one is Toronto and Phoenix. So injury report, Phoenix can submit late, of course. They are yesterday they were down a couple guys. Like of course Dylan Brooks and Mark Williams didn't play, but they also were down Grayson Allen, Amir Coffey, and Howard Haysmith also missed that game. I kind of think that I was looking at the injury report last night. I kind of think that those guys won't play again. And I could be wrong. We could see, one of those guys potentially rolled in. Toronto upgraded Colin Murray Boyles to questionable from doubtful in that last game. And this is a spot where, like, I kind of think Toronto is the right side, man. I know Phoenix will have a really bad taste in their mouth, but not being able to beat the Bucks, I think you're gonna really struggle against Phoenix. In Toronto, the way Toronto's been playing is like if they win, then they cover, and if they don't, then they lose. There's no in between, right? 20-14, both straight up and against the spread on the road this season. They had a chance to win that game against Denver in the fourth, but like I said, they lost. They ended up losing the fourth quarter by double digits, where their offense kind of dried up. But before that, they had won 3 straight. They've actually covered 4 in a row. This is the first leg of a back-to-back, but they only got the Jazz tomorrow. Then on the Phoenix side of things, 5 straight losses now. Second game back home, third game in 4 nights, fourth game in 6 nights, and fifth game in 7 nights. I think that's what I saw for the. Let me just double check it real quick for the Phoenix Suns. Yeah, fifth game in 7 night spots. You don't want Phoenix in this spot, man. I don't think that you want them in this spot. I think Toronto, the way that they were able to power back, because these two teams just played last week, and that was a terrible spot for Phoenix. It was fourth game in 6 nights, second leg of back-to-back, and Phoenix was winning the game throughout, but they had I think they had a few more players in that game. I just think it's a bad spot, man. I think Phoenix is actually in a terrible spot coming up as well, because they got Denver on Tuesday, so that's not going to be an easy game. 3 straight unders for this Phoenix team. Offense kind of dries up. Jalen Green was talking about it in the fourth post game yesterday, saying that you just send double teams. They was the Bucks were sending double teams at their star players. I think it's kind of head scratching when you can't beat the Bucks, when you can't score against the Bucks either. After the Bucks had just gave up 128 to the Jazz, so I do think that Toronto's the right side in the game. This offense for the Phoenix Suns hasn't scored 100 and they haven't scored 112, more than 112 points in the last 4 games. So a couple trends I had, that kind of favored Toronto in this game as well. And then all the Toronto starters except Jordan Goodwin played plus 30 plus minutes last night. So those are my thoughts, man. If I'm playing, I am laying with the Toronto Raptors, or probably I think I like the money line a little bit better because Toronto can be Jekyll and Hyde on the road as well. So those are my thoughts, man. Hit the like button for me. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. Everything that I just kind of talked about is listed here. The Knicks, I kind of think the Knicks do some, they got Josh Hart listed on the injury report, laying 20. I'm not interested in the game, but I kind of think based on, them just really struggling against Brooklyn in that last game, I kind of think that they come out early with something. But I didn't bet it. And then Brooklyn, Sacramento, who cares, man? I guess Sacramento, but I'm not betting that game. I know Westbrook is out, Clowney, Claxton, MPJ, like maybe a Brooklyn team total under. I don't know what to do with that game. Best of luck if you guys are betting. Resources all listed here. Check them out. Jackson, Outlier, Moneyball, Odds Jam. And I will catch you guys in the next one, man. Big slate for tomorrow, back on Monday. I'll catch you guys then. Y'all enjoy this Sunday. I'm out.